Welcome back to the channel, Rare Coins History, coin collectors, history buffs, and curious treasure hunters. Today, we're diving into the world of small coins with potentially massive value. It's sleek, it's silver-toned, it fits in your pocket, and if you're lucky, it could be worth a fortune. That's right, we're talking about the United States Roosevelt One Dime from the year 1987. Now, you might be thinking, a dime? Just 10 cents? What could possibly make that tiny coin so special? Well, stick around, because what we're about to uncover may just change the way you look at everyday pocket change forever. The Roosevelt dime has a rich legacy. It was first introduced in 1946, just a year after the passing of President Franklin D. Roosevelt, the only U.S. president elected to 4 terms. His image was chosen to grace the dime not only to honor his leadership but also because of his personal connection to the March of Dimes campaign to fight polio, the disease that he himself battled for much of his life. Ever since, his profile has remained on the 10-cent coin, serving as a reminder of both courage and change. But fast forward to the year 1987, and that year's Roosevelt dime takes on a new layer of mystery. Though millions of these coins were produced for circulation, what makes the 1987 dime so interesting isn't just the history, it's the details. Subtle mint marks, condition, and even minting errors can turn an ordinary piece of change into a hidden treasure. Let's talk about mint marks for a moment. In 1987, Roosevelt dimes were minted in 3 main locations: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. The coins from Philadelphia typically have no mint mark, while Denver coins are marked with a D, and San Francisco coins, used primarily for proof sets, carry an S. Each mint mark adds its own level of interest for collectors. But here's where things get exciting. A few rare 1987 Roosevelt dimes from these mints have anomalies, unusual features, errors, or conditions that set them apart from the masses. Some coins were struck off-center. Others have double dies, where parts of the design appear double due to a misalignment during the minting process. And then there are those struck on the wrong planchet, using metal blanks meant for other coins. These are the unicorns of the coin world, so rare, so strange, and so valuable. Of course, value depends heavily on condition. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70, with 70 being a flawless, mint state coin that looks exactly as it did the moment it left the U.S. Mint. Most of the dimes that we use in everyday life are far below that, worn, scratched, and tired from years of circulation. But a Roosevelt dime from 1987 that has remained in near-perfect condition? That's a different story. Collectors crave coins that are not only rare but pristine. Combine high condition with a unique feature, like a rare error or a low mintage proof, and you've got a coin that can fetch a surprising price on the collector's market. And here's another twist. Some 1987 Roosevelt dimes have reportedly surfaced with anomalies that are still being researched by numismatists. Coins missing mint marks, for example, are of special interest. While the mint began phasing out the absence of mint marks in the 1980s, occasionally a coin slips through the cracks. If you happen to find a 1987 dime without a mint mark, don't dismiss it. It could be one of those ultra-rare varieties worth holding onto. Now imagine finding a dime that's not only in near-perfect condition, but also has a dramatic minting error, something that sets it apart as one of a kind. These kinds of coins are like winning the lottery for collectors. Dealers and auction houses are willing to pay a premium for such unique pieces. And for those who specialize in Roosevelt dimes, the thrill of discovering a 1987 coin with rare attributes is like striking gold. But the best part of this story is yet to come. Because while most Roosevelt dimes from 1987 are worth only face value, there have been confirmed cases of extraordinary examples, coins with rare characteristics, unusual errors, or exceptional preservation, that have sold for prices that seem hard to believe. And that brings us to what you've all been waiting for. Just how much could one of these coins be worth? If you are lucky enough to come across a 1987 Roosevelt dime with a significant minting error, in brilliant uncirculated or proof condition, possibly with a missing mint mark or struck on the wrong metal planchet, the value could skyrocket. In fact, one of these rare examples has been known to fetch as much as $25,000. That's right, $25,000 for a single dime. 10 cents transformed into a small fortune because of the right mix of rarity, condition, and historical curiosity. Today, we're talking about a coin that most people wouldn't give a second glance, the United States Roosevelt One Dime from 1967. It might look small, simple, and ordinary, but hidden among these silver-toned coins are rare gems that could be worth a small fortune. So sit back, grab your magnifying glass, and let's take a journey through time and metal to discover why a 1967 Roosevelt dime might just be the most valuable coin hiding in your collection right now. Let's start with the background. The year 1967 was a period of big change in America. The Vietnam War was raging, the civil rights movement was in full force, and the country was on the edge of a cultural revolution. Amid all this, the U.S. Mint was quietly striking coins that would soon become a symbol of everyday American life, coins we used to pay for a coffee, drop in a vending machine, or pass to a kid for the ice cream truck. One of those coins was the Roosevelt dime. Introduced in 1946, this coin honors President Franklin D. Roosevelt, not just for his time in office, but for his leadership in the fight against polio. The dime became a symbol of hope, strength, and progress. But by 1967, the coin had taken on a new life. Here's the thing, 1967 was one of the few years when the U.S. Mint did something different. There were no mint marks on any of the coins that year. That's right, whether a coin was minted in Philadelphia, Denver, or San Francisco, you wouldn't be able to tell by looking at it. Why? Because the mint wanted to reduce the hoarding of coins. After silver was removed from dimes in 1965, people started collecting coins out of circulation, fearing they'd become scarce. To fight that, the mint removed all identifying marks in 1967 to discourage collectors from setting coins aside based on mint location, but that decision only made things more interesting later on. Because no mint marks were used in 1967, it made spotting error coins and rare variants even more challenging, and more exciting for collectors today. The 1967 Roosevelt dime was struck in a copper-nickel-clad composition instead of the 90% silver used before 1965. However, some error coins from 1967 show unusual features, off-center strikes, doubling of letters and numbers, or coins struck on leftover silver planchets by mistake. Now we're getting to the good stuff. Imagine this, you pull out a handful of old change, and one of those dimes is a 1967 Roosevelt dime. It looks ordinary at first. But then you notice something odd. Maybe the design is slightly shifted, or the lettering looks blurry and doubled. Perhaps the edge seems too smooth, or the weight is heavier than usual. These tiny details can be the clues that you're holding a rare error coin, one that slipped through quality control at the mint and made its way into circulation unnoticed. And here's where it gets even better. While most 1967 dimes are worth only their face value, 10 cents, certain rare examples in pristine condition or with unique minting errors are worth a whole lot more. The condition of a coin plays a major role in its value. A well-worn dime from a pocket doesn't hold much collector interest. But a 1967 Roosevelt dime that's in mint state condition, never circulated, with a shiny, unblemished surface, can be highly desirable. Now combine that mint state quality with a serious error, like a double die obverse or reverse, or even a wrong planchet error where the coin was struck on leftover silver from 1964. Those combinations can make your coin truly one of a kind. Collectors and dealers are constantly scanning the market for these rare finds. Auctions, coin shows, and online marketplaces see fierce bidding wars over coins that appear flawless or contain these hidden quirks. And the 1967 Roosevelt dime is no exception. What makes this coin especially thrilling is its deceptive simplicity. Because there are no mint marks and no silver content, people often assume it has no collector value. But numismatists, the experts in coin collecting, know better. They know that it's not just about what a coin is made of, but how rare it is, how perfect it is, and how unique its story can be. So, the next time you see a 1967 Roosevelt dime, don't just toss it into your change jar. Hold it up to the light. Look for signs of doubling on the date or lettering. Feel its edges. Weigh it if you can. You never know, you could be holding something truly extraordinary. And now, for the part you've all been waiting for. What could one of these rare 1967 Roosevelt dimes actually be worth? Well, if you happen to find a 1967 Roosevelt dime with a rare minting error, struck in uncirculated or near-perfect condition, it could be worth as much as $33,000. Yes, you heard that right. A single dime. 10 cents turned into $33,000, all because of a perfect storm of rarity, error, and preservation. So what are you waiting for? Dig through your old coin jars, check your parents' change drawers, and explore those forgotten shoeboxes in the attic. Because hidden inside an ordinary-looking Roosevelt dime from 1967 might be a life-changing treasure. Today, we're diving deep into the story of a tiny coin that could turn your pocket change into a powerful payday, the 1977 Roosevelt dime from the United States of America. Now, this isn't just another coin collecting video. What we're about to uncover is a tale of history, hidden rarity, minting mysteries, and the very real possibility that a dime you've walked past or spent without a second thought could actually be worth thousands. Let's rewind to 1977, a time of change and challenge for the country. Jimmy Carter had just become president, Star Wars had just hit theaters for the first time, and disco ruled the radio. It was a year of excitement and innovation, and while most people weren't paying attention to the coins in their pockets, the U.S. Mint was quietly producing millions of Roosevelt dimes. The Roosevelt dime had already been circulating for over 3 decades by 1977. Introduced in 1946, it was created to honor President Franklin D. Roosevelt, who not only led the country through the Great Depression and World War II, but also founded the March of Dimes to help fight polio. It was a fitting tribute, placing his profile on the very coin that symbolized health, hope, and public service. By 1977, the dime was made of a copper-nickel-clad composition, a change that had started in 1965 when silver was removed from circulating coins. The metal might have changed, but the tradition and symbolism remained strong. Roosevelt's profile still graced the obverse side, with the word "Liberty" by his face, the motto, "In God We Trust," and the date just below. On the reverse side, the torch of liberty stood tall, flanked by olive and oak branches, symbols of peace and strength. But let's get into the part that makes collectors lean in a little closer. Not all 1977 Roosevelt dimes are created equal. These dimes were minted in 3 major locations: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. The mint mark, either a small D for Denver or an S for San Francisco, can be found on the front of the coin, just above the date. Coins from Philadelphia, at the time, were typically produced without a mint mark. Now, most people never even notice these tiny letters, but for collectors, they can mean everything. Here's why. While the U.S. Mint struck hundreds of millions of Roosevelt dimes in 1977, only a very small number were created with errors or variations that make them incredibly rare and highly valuable. Let's talk about these rare variations. Some 1977 dimes were struck off-center, meaning the entire design is shifted to one side. Others feature double dies, where elements of the coin, like the date or the words, "In God We Trust," appear slightly doubled due to a misalignment during the minting process. Then there are coins that were accidentally struck on the wrong planchet, blanks meant for other denominations or even foreign coins, and while these mistakes might seem small, they can skyrocket a coin's value when combined with excellent condition. Condition is everything in the world of coin collecting. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70, with 70 being a flawless, mint state coin. Most coins in circulation get scuffed, scratched, and worn over time. But every now and then, one manages to survive untouched, bright, shiny, and perfectly preserved. When you find a 1977 Roosevelt dime with a rare error and in mint state condition, you're no longer looking at a piece of spare change, you're holding a rare collectible. And let's not forget the proof coins. The San Francisco Mint produced specially made proof dimes in 1977, intended for collectors. These coins have a mirror-like finish, sharp details, and were never meant for general circulation. However, if a proof coin somehow ended up in circulation or was struck with an error, its value could increase dramatically. Collectors across the country are always on the hunt for these elusive 1977 dimes with unique characteristics. Whether it's a die clash, a missing mint mark, a broad strike, or an unusual composition, these coins tell a story. A story of imperfection turned into rarity, of chance turned into opportunity. So what does this mean for you? It means the next time you get a handful of change from the store, take a closer look. Pull out your old piggy banks, your junk drawers, your forgotten coin jars. Because hidden among those ordinary coins could be something truly special, a 1977 Roosevelt dime that carries more than just history. It could carry real financial value. And now, the moment you've been waiting for. If you're fortunate enough to find a 1977 Roosevelt dime with a rare mint error, in pristine, uncirculated condition, maybe a double die or a coin struck on the wrong planchet, its value could rise to as much as $30,000. Yes, that's right. 10 cents transformed into $30,000. That's the magic of numismatics, where small coins can tell big stories and offer even bigger rewards. Today's video takes you deep into the fascinating world of American pocket change. You may have seen it dozens of times. You might even have one sitting right now in your change jar. But after today, you'll never look at the 1980 Roosevelt dime the same way again, that tiny 10-cent piece. It might just be worth far more than you think. Let's take a journey back to the year 1980. America was moving into a new era. Ronald Reagan was about to be elected president, inflation was high, the economy was shifting, and the country was changing rapidly. While all eyes were on politics and gas prices, something was quietly rolling out of machines deep inside U.S. Mint facilities, millions of small silver-colored coins that most people never thought twice about. We're talking about the 1980 Roosevelt dime, a piece of currency that, on the surface, looks like nothing more than everyday change. But hidden among the many millions produced are rare specimens, minting anomalies, and flawless examples that can command serious money from collectors and numismatists. The Roosevelt dime itself has been a staple of American coinage since 1946. That year, it replaced the Mercury dime, and it has featured the profile of President Franklin D. Roosevelt ever since. Not only was FDR a powerful figure in American history, guiding the country through the Great Depression and most of World War II, but he was also closely tied to the March of Dimes, a campaign launched to fight polio. So placing his image on the dime was a symbolic and meaningful gesture. But while the Roosevelt dime stayed mostly the same in appearance for decades, each year brought new minting batches, and with them, potential surprises. The 1980 Roosevelt dime was struck at 3 major mint locations: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. The Philadelphia dimes carry no mint mark, the Denver coins have a small D to the left of the torch on the reverse, and the San Francisco coins, usually made for proof sets, are marked with an S. Most of these coins were circulated in huge numbers. In fact, over 735 million were minted in Philadelphia alone that year. But here's where it gets interesting. Despite the high mintage numbers, certain coins from 1980 stand out because of their condition, rarity, or unusual minting errors. For instance, some 1980 dimes have been discovered with off-center strikes, where the design is noticeably shifted due to misalignment. Others show doubling on the date or lettering, a phenomenon known as double die, which can make the features on the coin look slightly blurry or shadowed. These are not common, and when they do appear, they immediately grab the attention of serious collectors. Then there are coins that were struck on the wrong metal planchet, meaning they were accidentally minted using the blank for another coin, like a penny or foreign currency. These errors are extremely rare but incredibly valuable when authenticated, and let's not forget condition. The vast majority of dimes end up in people's pockets, coin jars, cash registers, and laundry machines. They get scratched, worn down, and beat up over time. But a small number of coins somehow survive in mint state, untouched, uncirculated, perfectly preserved since the moment they left the mint. These are the coins that command top dollar at auction. Grading companies like PCGS and NGC assign numerical grades to coins, with a 70 representing a flawless, perfect specimen. A 1980 Roosevelt dime graded MS 67 or higher, especially with a recognized minting error, can immediately raise eyebrows in the collector world. When you combine rarity with pristine condition, that's when things get truly exciting. There's also a growing market for proof coins from 1980, particularly those made at the San Francisco Mint. These proof dimes are specially struck to have a mirror-like finish and are generally included in collectors' proof sets. But on rare occasions, proof coins end up in circulation or display unusual features like frosted fields, incomplete strikes, or toning that adds a unique look. Collectors are always on the hunt for these special pieces, but here's the twist most people don't expect: even among coins that look completely normal, there can be value hiding in plain sight. Because the 1980 dime is so common, most people ignore it. But trained collectors know how to spot the tiny details that transform a coin from spare change into a serious investment. It could be the spacing of the lettering, the sharpness of the strike, or an error so subtle that only a magnifying glass will reveal it. So what does this mean for you? It means that the next time you're counting your change, pay attention. That ordinary-looking Roosevelt dime from 1980 might just be the key to something big. Go through your old drawers, your piggy banks, your coffee can full of coins from the garage. Because you never know what you'll find. And now, after all this build-up, you're probably wondering just how valuable a 1980 Roosevelt dime could be. Well, if you happen to discover a 1980 Roosevelt dime with a rare mint error, struck in mint state condition or better, especially one graded by a professional service or featuring a dramatic double die or wrong planchet error, it could fetch as much as $31,000. That's right. 10 cents that could turn into $31,000. A tiny coin that, with the right combination of rarity, error, and condition, becomes a treasure hiding in plain sight. So don't underestimate your change. Every coin tells a story, and some tell stories worth thousands. Today, we're diving into a little coin with big potential, the United States Roosevelt One Dime from 1990. That's right, just 10 cents, or is it? This coin might be hiding in your drawer, your wallet, or sitting quietly at the bottom of a jar somewhere. But if you look a little closer, what seems like ordinary spare change could turn out to be an incredibly valuable discovery. Let's take a step back and talk about the Roosevelt dime itself. First introduced in 1946, this coin was created to honor President Franklin D. Roosevelt shortly after his passing. Roosevelt wasn't just a towering figure during the Great Depression and World War II, he was also a driving force behind the fight against polio. In fact, the March of Dimes campaign that raised money to battle the disease took its name directly from this very coin, and so, it only made sense to place his profile on the dime, a tribute to a president who helped guide the nation through tough times and inspired millions to come together for a cause. His legacy lives on every time we hold this coin in our hands. Fast forward to the year 1990. The Cold War was coming to a close, the internet was just beginning to take shape, and pop culture was booming. Meanwhile, the US Mint was hard at work striking hundreds of millions of dimes for circulation. At first glance, the 1990 Roosevelt dime doesn't look much different from its predecessors. It still features Roosevelt's left-facing profile on the obverse, along with the familiar inscriptions, "Liberty, in God We Trust," and the year, 1990. On the reverse, we see the torch, oak branch, and olive branch, symbols of liberty, strength, and peace. But there's one tiny detail that makes all the difference: the mint mark. In 1990, Roosevelt dimes were struck at several U.S. Mint facilities, Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Dimes minted in Philadelphia that year carried a P mint mark, Denver coins had a D, and San Francisco dimes, used mostly for collector proof sets, bore an S. That tiny letter, just above the date, can be the difference between an ordinary coin and one worth a fortune. You see, the story of the 1990 Roosevelt dime isn't just about the millions of coins that entered circulation. It's about the few rare ones that stood out. Coins that were struck with minting errors. Coins that were made with unique planchets. Coins that somehow escaped damage and wear, remaining in pristine condition for over 30 years. Let's talk about some of the factors that can make a 1990 dime incredibly valuable. First, mint errors. Mistakes during the minting process, like off-center strikes, double die errors, missing mint marks, or coins struck on the wrong metal planchet, can instantly make a coin highly collectible. These kinds of errors are extremely rare but extremely sought after. For example, A Roosevelt dime struck on a planchet meant for a foreign coin or a nickel could be worth hundreds, even thousands of dollars, especially if it's in top condition. Next, we have condition, or what collectors call grade. Coins are graded on a 70-point scale, with higher numbers indicating better preservation. A dime that has never been used in circulation, showing no signs of wear, could be classified as mint state, or MS. The higher the grade, the more valuable the coin, especially when it comes to rare or error varieties. There are also proof coins, which were never meant to be spent. These coins were struck multiple times with specially polished dies, giving them a mirror-like surface and sharp detail. In 1990, proof dimes were produced at the San Francisco Mint. While most of these were included in collector sets, every now and then, one turns up with a unique twist, like a double strike or a missing mint mark, which can significantly boost its value. Now, here's something especially interesting. One of the most famous and mysterious Roosevelt dime errors occurred just 1 year earlier, in 1989, when a small number of proof dimes were struck without the S mint mark. These so-called no-S dimes are worth thousands. So naturally, collectors have been paying very close attention to 1990 dimes as well, searching for similar anomalies. Any coin from this year with a misplaced or missing mint mark should be examined carefully, because that's where incredible value can be hiding. And don't think these coins only live in the hands of elite collectors. Some of the most valuable dimes have been discovered in pocket change, estate sales, or even while sorting through old family collections. What makes coin collecting so exciting is that anyone, yes, even you, can stumble upon a rare and valuable piece without even realizing it. So how do you know if your 1990 Roosevelt dime is worth something? Start by checking for any unusual markings, odd coloration, or design abnormalities. Use a magnifying glass to look closely at the mint mark. If anything seems out of the ordinary, it's worth researching further or having the coin graded by a professional coin grading service like PCGS or NGC. Now comes the moment you've been waiting for. If you're lucky enough to find a 1990 Roosevelt dime with a rare minting error, say, a double die, a missing mint mark, or one struck on an incorrect planchet, and it's in high mint state condition, possibly even uncirculated, you could be looking at a coin that's not just rare, but extremely valuable. In fact, the most exceptional examples of the 1990 Roosevelt dime have been known to sell for as much as $34,000. That's right, 10 cents transformed into $34,000. A coin you could have passed by on the sidewalk or found in an old jar of change could turn out to be one of the rarest finds of your life. So take another look at your coins. Recheck your change. Because in this world, even the smallest things can carry the biggest surprises. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the hidden value of the 1990 Roosevelt dime, don't forget to give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, and tap the notification bell so you never miss out on more incredible coin stories. And if you've got a Roosevelt dime of your own that looks a little strange or special, let us know in the comments. We'd love to hear your coin stories and help uncover the next big discovery. Thanks for watching, and as always, happy collecting. Your next treasure could be sitting right in the palm of your hand.